Hi there, folks. Welcome to the middle of summer, and today's blog is on watch your language or thought-terminating cliches. And just wanted to show you my peonies here. They're looking a little bit sad. It is what it is. Well, you've heard that term before, and that's the term that we heard in one of our coaching calls on our membership site recently. And I'm hanging on to these peonies only because they still smell really lovely at my desk. And I happened to be away when they were at their peak, and so I'm a little bit sad. But I don't want you to be sad about when conversations shut down. So here's some of the things that you say that do shut down conversations. It is what it is. So it goes. It could be worse. Time heals all. Someone out there has it worse than you. Oh, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, which actually was the research title of Dr. Nikki Gerard's research many years ago in the late 90s on farm stress. It's always darkest before the dawn. This too shall pass. It's all about balance. Try and look on the bright side. The sun will come out tomorrow. The only way through is out. Now, you might be in the habit of using some of those thought-terminating cliches, but I'd like you to start thinking about the fact that words really do matter, and our thoughts become words, and our words spur on our actions or lack of our actions. So what we believe to be true is part of how we craft the culture on a farm. So it is what it is seems really defeatist to me. And if that's the position that you're finding yourself in this current moment in your farm transition journey, then maybe it's time to spend some time at the lake sitting on the end of the dock, or parking at the end of your field after you've got the spraying caught up and the haying all done, and putting yourself under the shade of a nice tree and just thinking about, wow, this isn't really working for me anymore. And don't think about, just throwing your tools on the ground and believing that nothing is ever going to change around here. And the whole thing about it could be worse aligns with maybe the misery that you've seen in your community. But I'm here to tell you, as a farm family coach who's been working with farm families for over 35 years, is that I'm tired of sad stories, and I don't want you to be creating any more sad stories in your journey. It's time for healing stories. # healing stories #4 ag. So I want you to think about that you don't have to do hard things, and that fearing or hearing other sad stories is probably not going to be a motivator for you. When people say the only way out is through, is you need to acknowledge that, yes, I can do hard things, but who said that having conversations needs to be hard? And we've given you lots of school tools through our membership site and also through this blog. If many of you have been following this for several years now, I just would like to encourage you to sit back and dig into your toolbox and maybe see what's missing and what needs to be pulled out, because the conflict resolution can be a tense process, but it's one where you're lifting up this huge weight of tension. So facilitated conversations are where folks are prepared. You're not going to catch them off guard. And I was recently in Europe and Switzerland visiting our trainee families celebrating their 50th birthdays. And these are young men and women who farmed with us for a long time, 6 months, and in one case, 5 years on my father's farm. So they become like family. And they too find themselves in situations where they're sideswiped by, oh, you want to change something. And again, like here, land prices are high, and conversations about selling a farm or selling a piece of land should not happen in the machine shop. It should be put something that you've had preparation for, and not using one of these thought-terminating cliches like, oh my goodness, I can't believe you said that. And then the conversation shuts down. Rather than what was the preferred method would be to invite people over for coffee and say, look, we're going to meet on Friday at 10 o'clock in the morning. I'll put the coffee on, and this is the agenda. We're going to talk about whether or not we can afford to buy this land that you're wanting to sell. So these thought-terminating cliches, it is what it is, can actually fuel poor mental health and what Simon Sinek calls your mental fitness. And so you might want to check out mental health first aid and take the course and figure out how You want to just walk alongside people. You're not a psychiatrist, you're not a psychologist, but you are going to walk alongside people and help them communicate and connect to community and connect to resources that can help you. So here's the list that I put in the blog. How can you be more vigilant about what comes out of your mouth? Think before you speak. There's a reason why we have 2 ears and 1 mouth. So listen to understand more and not formulate your next response. Just be very present. Be curious. Come to the conversation with kindness and a genuine curiosity about what's truly going on for the other person. And are you okay? It's a very powerful question. No, actually, I'm not okay. Do you want to talk about it now? Not really. Okay, by tomorrow afternoon? Sure. So ask permission and ask better questions without a spirit of judgment. What do you need in this moment? What is frustrating you the most? How do you want me to walk alongside you? When do you want to come back to the table to create some solutions and a timeline for action? Yesterday, I was talking to a man from the States who's in a bit of a timeline dilemma. His wife is very anxious about the fact that they're not making a decision about where they're going to live for the next 20 or 30 years. And they have a beautiful property and they'd love to stay, but there's a cost to doing that. And sometimes there's expectations that need to be managed too around the next generation wanting a piece of that, but it's not something that's financially doable. Also, to be careful that you don't confuse your end of life planning, like your wills and estates and that kind of thing, and your funeral, versus the actual journey of transfer of land management and ownership for the next generation to get equity now. So it's in my will, you'll get it all when I die, is not really helpful. It's classic procrastination, which is causing a lot of angst in families all over the place. And then I'm going to encourage you to ask for help. Words matter. And it's okay. It's not a sign of weakness, people, to ask for help and get good, ag-informed advisors with strong facilitation skills to help the whole family learn more helpful language. So tell me more. That's interesting. What's the story behind that thought? I'm curious about what you said. How does that feel for you? What ways do you want to be encouraged? Use words of affirmation. You know what? This is what I'm observing. Am I right? Or is this what's going on for you? And what's the next step that you would like to take? I think that it'll help you if you can go back to the written version of this blog to look at some of these questions and start practicing them. And one of the ones that I found most helpful with many